Have you ever said something to someone you care about, and the second it left your mouth, you thought, "Why did I just say that?" Or maybe you've been in a perfectly good mood, and then someone says one small thing, and suddenly you're in a spiral you can't get out of, or you've promised yourself 100 times that you're going to stop doing something, and then you do it again. Most people look at moments like that and think, something is wrong with me. But here's what I want you to take away from this video. Nothing is wrong with you. Your brain is just doing exactly what it was built to do. And once you understand how it works, these moments stop being confusing. They start making perfect sense. Welcome to Human Code. This channel is about one thing: understanding people. We're not going to make this a psychology class. No textbooks, no complicated terms, just real life explained. And we're starting today with the basics, the foundation, the stuff that once you see it, you can't unsee it. Today's video is called Why You Do Things You Can't Explain. Your brain isn't broken. And by the end of it, you're going to look at yourself, and honestly everyone around you, a little differently. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you consciously decided to feel anxious? Or consciously decided to get defensive when someone criticized you? Or consciously decided to check your phone for the 47th time today? You didn't. It just happened. And that's actually the first big thing to understand about human behavior. Most of what we do, we don't actually decide to do. Researchers estimate that somewhere between 40 and 95% of our daily behavior runs on autopilot. Not decisions, not choices, just patterns our brain learned so well that it stopped asking us for permission. Think about driving somewhere familiar. You leave the house, you arrive at your destination, and you genuinely cannot remember most of the drive. Your brain drove the car. You weren't really there. Now that's harmless when we're talking about driving, but what about when it's happening in your relationships? Here's a real example. Imagine someone who grew up in a house where love was inconsistent. Some days warm and close, other days cold and distant. And as a kid, they learned one thing without ever being told. When things are good, don't get too comfortable. It won't last. Fast forward 20 years. That person is now in a genuinely loving relationship. Their partner is consistent, present, caring, and they are terrified. Not because anything is wrong, but because their brain is running an old program. A pattern installed in childhood that says, happiness is temporary, closeness is dangerous, stay ready to lose it. They didn't choose that pattern. They never sat down and decided, I'm going to sabotage good relationships for the rest of my life. Their brain automated it, because at some point that pattern kept them safe. This is autopilot, and almost every confusing thing we do, the habits we can't quit, the reactions we can't control, the patterns that keep repeating, almost all of it starts here. But here's the thing about autopilot that actually gives me hope. You can't turn it off, but you can notice it. And the moment you notice a pattern running, you created a gap, just a small one. But that gap is everything, because that's where you get to choose something different. We'll come back to that. Okay, second thing. Have you ever felt something, and then immediately felt embarrassed that you felt it? Like jealousy over something that shouldn't bother you, or sadness out of nowhere on what should have been a good day, or this deep, almost irrational need for reassurance from someone who has never given you a reason not to trust them. Most people's response to feelings like that is to fight them, push them down, distract themselves, tell themselves to just stop, and that almost never works. Because here's what's actually going on. Every emotion you feel is your brain sending you a message. Not a random one, a specific one, based on what your brain thinks is happening and what it learned to expect. Let me give you an example most people will recognize. Overthinking. You send a message. The person reads it. They don't reply. And suddenly your brain is off to the races. Did I say something wrong? Are they upset with me? What did I do? Should I send a follow-up? No, that's too much. But what if they think I don't care? Sound familiar? Here's what's actually happening. Your brain detected uncertainty, and to your brain, uncertainty is a threat, not a physical threat, an emotional one, the threat of rejection, of losing connection, of mattering to someone less than you thought. So it tries to solve the uncertainty. It runs every possible scenario, not to torture you, but because it genuinely thinks it's protecting you. The overthinking isn't the problem. The overthinking is a symptom. The real thing underneath is usually just one of two things: a fear of rejection or a need for connection. And both of those are, honestly, some of the most human things there are, when you can identify what a feeling is actually about, not just, I feel anxious, but I feel anxious because I'm afraid this person doesn't value me as much as I value them. Something shifts. The feeling doesn't disappear, but it stops running the show, because now you understand it. And what we understand, we can work with. Let's talk about something most people won't admit: the need for approval. And before you say, I don't care what people think, most people who say that care the most. And I don't mean that as a judgment. I mean it as something genuinely worth understanding. Humans are social animals. We didn't survive alone. For most of our history, being rejected by the group wasn't just uncomfortable. It was genuinely life-threatening. So your brain developed a system that is constantly, quietly asking, am I accepted here? Do these people approve of me? Am I safe in this group? And when that system gets triggered, when you feel excluded, judged, or invisible, it doesn't feel like a social inconvenience. It feels like danger. This is why public speaking terrifies people more than almost anything else. Why a single negative comment on something you made can ruin your entire day, even if you got 50 positive ones. Why you can replay an embarrassing moment from 7 years ago at 2 a.m. Your brain doesn't distinguish between, they judged my idea, and I was rejected from the group. It registers both the same way, as a threat. And here's where this gets really interesting, because this same system is what makes people easy to influence. If someone wants you to do something, the most effective thing they can do isn't argue with you. It's make you feel like not doing it means you're not who you think you are. I thought you were the type of person who, everyone else is fine with it. I guess I expected more from you. That's not logic. That's not a good reason. But it works, because it targets the one thing your brain is always quietly protecting: your sense of belonging, your identity within a group. Knowing this doesn't make you immune to it, but it gives you a split second of awareness before you react. And sometimes, a split second is enough. Okay, let's get into something that I think a lot of people struggle with silently. You know what you should be doing. You know you should sleep earlier, eat better, exercise, stop doom scrolling, have the hard conversation you've been avoiding, reach out, let go, move on, you know. And yet, here's what most self-help content gets wrong. They treat this like an information problem, like you just need the right tip, the right routine, the right system. But you don't have an information problem. You have a comfort problem. Your brain is wired, deeply, powerfully wired, to prefer the familiar, not the good, not the healthy, not the right, the familiar, because familiar means predictable, and predictable means safe, even if what's familiar is painful. This is why people stay in jobs they hate for years, why they stay in relationships that aren't working long after they know it isn't working. It's not stupidity, it's not weakness. It's the brain doing exactly what it's designed to do, protecting you from the unknown. Because the unknown to your brain is risk, and your brain would rather have a pain it knows than a freedom it can't predict. There's also something else at play here, and this one is subtle but important. A lot of the time, the behavior we want to change is actually meeting a need. Someone who's always checking their phone might be soothing loneliness. Someone who overeats might be managing emotions they don't have another outlet for. Someone who keeps everything surface level might be protecting themselves from being vulnerable and getting hurt again. The behavior isn't the enemy. The behavior is a solution to a problem, just not a very good one. And if you try to remove the behavior without addressing the need underneath it, it will always come back. Or it'll come back as something else. This is why understanding why you do something matters more than just trying to stop doing it. The goal isn't to fight your brain, the goal is to work with it. All right, let's bring this home. None of what I've shared today is meant to make you feel like you're stuck. It's meant to make you feel like things make sense. Because they do. You have patterns running in the background you didn't consciously choose. You have emotions that are responses to what your brain learned, not facts about reality. You have a deep social wiring that sometimes works for you, and sometimes gets used against you. And you have a brain that resists change, not out of laziness, but out of love for what's safe. So what do you do with that? The first thing, and I can't say this enough, get curious instead of critical. When you catch yourself doing something you don't like, instead of going straight to, why am I like this? What's wrong with me? Try, that's interesting. What was that about? What was I feeling right before that happened? That's not letting yourself off the hook. That's actually how you start to understand the hook well enough to get off it. The second thing, name what's underneath. Not just I'm anxious. Why are you anxious? What specifically are you afraid of? Not just I'm angry. What's the hurt that came right before the anger? Most emotions have something quieter sitting under them, and when you can name that quieter thing, you get a lot of your power back. And the third thing, give yourself some grace. Seriously, a lot of the patterns running in you right now were installed when you were a kid, just trying to figure out how to be safe and loved in a world that was new and confusing. That kid was doing the best they could, and honestly, so are you. Understanding yourself isn't about tearing yourself apart. It's about seeing yourself clearly, and then deciding, with open eyes, who you actually want to be. Here's what I want you to walk away with today. You are not your patterns. You are not your reactions. You are not the stories your brain tells you about yourself when it's scared. Those things are in you, but they are not you. And the fact that you're here, watching a video like this, asking these questions, wanting to understand, that matters more than you probably realize. On this channel, we're going to keep going deeper. We'll talk about how confidence really works, and why it's not what most people think it is. We'll get into attraction and what actually draws people together. We'll talk about dark psychology, the influence tactics people use every day that most people never recognize. We'll talk about the patterns in your relationships, your habits, your inner voice, all of it. Broken down, made real. If something in this video made you stop and think, subscribe, because the next one goes further. And leave a comment with this. What's one pattern you've noticed in yourself that you can't explain? I read everything. See you in the next one.